Welcome to the Recovery Roundtable Podcast, where the journey to sobriety opens up through powerful discussions and shared experiences. Join your host, Mark, who will bring you stories of triumph and resilience from the heart of Pacific Shores recovery. Every episode offers insights and support, guiding you through the challenges of addiction recovery. Thank you for joining our community. If you're ready to start or continue your recovery journey, we're here to inspire and support you. Let's explore recovery together.
Whatever flows to you, share with me.
Yeah.
So go from there.
Yeah, definitely interesting. I was just talking to my stepbrother today, and that's an interesting story because we were talking. He had reached out to me needing some help. I gave him a holler. I called him, he told him, I said, hey, you're helping me more than you know, because you actually reaching out and asking for advice is awesome. He's had some sobriety time a little bit, but never really worked the steps and stuff. So I just kind of said, hey, I'm going to talk to you kind of like how I told him talking to a sponsee, or something. Something that was also suggested to me for me to do. And that was get to a meeting or get to some meetings. He said, I asked him a question, where's your life at? And he goes, I live in a garage. I said, well, that should tell you right there. I said, you're 40 years old, you live in a garage. I was 40 years old and I was in a Salvation Army program. I was living in a flop house, sober living. I said, same sort of story, same scenario. So you're in the same spot I was at. I said, you feel alone, you feel hopeless, right? You feel like you want to kill yourself. You feel like, F this is stupid. I don't want to go any longer. I get it. But you got to take action. So that was really cool to have that conversation with him today and just pass on what I've been doing for quite some time. And I was 40 years old, same thing. And finally I had to, be brought to a state of straight up, oh my gosh, this is crazy. What I'm seeing is not reality, but it is my reality.
So let me ask you with that, what gave you that clarity? Because that's where a lot of people have the gap. It's like, I'm told this or life seems normal to me, but it's so painful. What happened where you had that awareness level to start to take that action?
Well, almost dying 4 times kind of does that to you. Those 4 nights I tell there was 4 nights where these crazy things happened, where one night I was I blacked out. I never blacked out on meth, but had been doing a bunch of drugs and mixing and matching and doing all kinds of stuff. But coming to in the middle of a street, walking down the street, I remember that, and I was like, oh, that's whatever, where the hell am I? I still to this day don't even know where the hell I was at. I was maybe somewhere in Anaheim. I don't even remember. That was a trip. Second time, being tasered by the police. After blacking out, after taking about 8 hits of acid, after being up for a week on methamphetamine, slamming dope, all that stuff. What I experienced crossing over and oh my gosh, the devil is real. Absolutely. I'm good to go. I don't need to do any more drugs. I thought that would probably sober me up, but you know what? That's the picture I always share. That was the picture of what I look like. I'm mangled up. And all I remember is I'm experiencing this whatever, and I'm actually taking on 12 cops. And I was like, what? I didn't even remember. I have no clue. I could have killed somebody and wouldn't even have known. That's the crazy thing. That's what scared me. So I'm like, oh shoot. Okay. So then the third time was I was coherent. So the first 2 I was not coherent. Third night. So these are all specific dates. May 29th, which was at that time on that date, Memorial Day. The Memorial Day, when it comes around, I always get super nostalgic because I'm or super grateful as far as that day goes. The second one was June 21st. I think it was either the 21st or the 22nd. I believe it was the 21st. The third one was July 4th. The 4th of July comes around, I get this and that's the one where I was coherent, where Megan was driving in my car, it's my ex-fiance, and I actually almost caused her to wreck on the freeway. I actually saw some cars. I thought I was getting pulled over by the FBI for some reason. I don't know. Anyway, so it was wild. And then I thought I was in a movie, and then I thought I was a criminal guy, and I was on this game show, and that was wild because literally I was living this thing out, and to me it was real. I was hearing helicopters and sirens. I thought we were being followed. I was so paranoid because I wasn't wanted, but I thought I was wanted anyway. And then the 4th night was July 21st, the day before I got sober, and that was crazy. And so these times, it was, and then of course waking up the next day to some guy dead in the next room. That it's not like every day you wake up and someone's dead or you almost die. I came super, super close. There was a point on the night of the 21st where I had a shot of dope, cocaine. I was doing cocaine. I was mixing the two, mixing that. And I remember thinking, shit, I feel funky. And I didn't do it. And I got a call from like the cocaine dealer that I was getting the stuff from. And all I remember is I didn't do the shot of dope. I squirted it in my mouth. And I really firmly believe that was it. I would have been dead. So kind of God, like, pausing for that second, as you may, you know. And then so the next day, after like a crazy night, I was running through some of my texts earlier from like 2016, and I was like talking to this housemate, or like, no, it was the sober living manager. And I was like, hey, are you coming to get me? And I was like, what is wrong with this guy? I thought he was a cop too, by the way. But I think those experiences set it up for me to, like, for this time around especially, to number one, never forget where I come from, be grateful for my sobriety date, always remember it's a daily reprieve, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter how much years you have, it doesn't matter. I've seen people with years just flop on their face. What are we doing each day, right, routine-wise? So routine has to be there, you know what I mean? I have to have a routine, especially moving from Iowa. I moved from California to Iowa. I had to know, I looked up meetings. I've been to a couple here, really small, really different. They don't clap here, which is interesting. They do meetings a little different. I don't like it. I'm like, man, you guys aren't really personable. I don't feel the connection. Now, connection, like, that's a big thing for me, but I have a connection already. So I can bring that into the meeting or whatever, per se. But I'm like, I already know that this, like, on this journey, right? Even though sometimes it feels like I'm alone out here, I'm not. I got a job that really, and just because of what you guys taught me too, man. Oh my gosh. They're wanting me to do these men's groups, right? So they're like, listen, I get promoted the first out of orientation, and they're like, yeah, you're a supervisor. I'm like, what? They're like, yeah. And I'm like, did you guys have this planned? I'm like, almost like, dude, they had this planned. So I'm like, well, and so I'm like, okay. They're like, can you run groups? And I go, uh-huh. They're like, okay. So they're like, we're not even going to sit in there with you. We're just going to do it. And I go, yeah, for sure. Absolutely. I go, you just tell me what you want or what you need or whatever. We're rock and roll, dude. You know what I mean? I can run a group on anything. So whatever you need. It's just cool because, I mean, I learned all that from you guys and doing all that stuff. And, man, I learned so many skills and stuff. And I don't know, it's prepared me for this next phase, which never even experienced this if I wouldn't have done the steps, if I wouldn't have got a routine. And in sobriety, if I wouldn't have struggled, you know, if I wouldn't have had those struggles with like the females or, you know, things I shouldn't have been watching, I had to struggle through that. I had to go through that and realize, oh shoot, that is a huge no. Like, I mean, for me personally, now other people can do it, whatever they want, but for me, I got to be like, that's leading me down the wrong path. So I have to look at that and consider that. But that's all. I think what happened with me was, you know, experiencing those things, that was craziness. But even experiencing those things, my mind sometimes will tell me, you can have a drink. And I know it's just, I laugh at it. I'm like, yeah, I could. I absolutely could. But the thing is that I know the consequences today, what would happen, but I have to be doing, and that isn't even enough to stay sober. You have to, like, really want this thing. Like, you have to go, hey, so every day I got to stay connected to God. I say the 3rd step, 7th step prayer, do daily reprieve prayer. Hey, and I don't get on myself if I say for some example, you know, work here is I work 12 hours a day, and I work a lot more. But I'm like, as long as I do something. So instead of beating myself up, because I can beat myself up all day long, like, oh, you missed this, or you didn't do it like this, or you didn't do it like this. It's like, no, it's just the fact of staying connected, having to shift and be flexible, and then having the, I don't know, I guess belief in self to be like, dude, it's not going to be a perfect thing. You know what I mean? Straight out the gate. It's whatever it is, you know? As long as I don't put a drug, and I remember the sponsor in California goes, as long as you don't put a drug or drink in your body, right? He says, dude, everything else can be worked out. And I said, he's absolutely correct. So no matter what we're going through. So I think this biggest thing on this journey was, you know, me finally pulling my head out of my, you know what? And, but that took some like, I had to go through these experiences and then actually like being willing to like be humbled by like certain positions. Because when I got out, I didn't know what I was going to do. I was like, what am I going to do? And I worked for this spot, and then I came to you guys, and that was such a godsend. And it was all like, it just made sense. Like looking back at everything that's happened, it was so crazy. I was like, this is wild. Like literally, I wasn't living life until I was 40 years old. before that, I don't know what the hell I was doing. I was just roaming around and roaming around, and I mean, thought I was sober, but
you
really wasn't sober.
You were learning what an empty life is like, so you can help those that are currently in that. Because it's one thing coming from one person, hey, don't do this, I read this in a book, versus, hey, I lived through this and somehow stayed alive for 4 decades. And I remember we did a lot of work on staying connected and truth and grace. And I remember when you first came in, that was a huge battle, and you kept doing the daily work though. And that's the part that so many miss, and why I like doing these types of things, because you said it multiple times, as long as I do my daily work, as long as I do the daily steps, as long as I do and it's every single day, it's a rebirth of, I get to do the work today if I want to get the results. I got to do the work to get the fruit.
Absolutely. No, for sure. So finding a church out here is on my to-do list. Pardon me. Getting connected to a group out here of some sort, and maybe I'll bring a meeting into somewhere, I don't know yet. But adjustment, it was like, marriage, and then moving across state, and then a new job. All 3 of those things are like 3 major things that even my friend that lives out here was telling me about. Because you did that all at once, and I was like, yeah, you're right. I mean, pretty much the marriage, bam, bam. We didn't realize we were going to move out here soon. We didn't even know what was really going to happen. But it's his plan. It's not mine. So, and I was going to like jet out of this job and get some counseling job, but then some things I didn't jump on it. I kind of searched out some stuff. And then I found out some information from a friend about a company that I was going to, that I had an interview with. I'm going to have to turn them down because of some stuff. But, and then some stuff my friend had told me, he goes, Rick, like positions that they have at this place, and they don't have a lot of strong men. And I said, oh, it's a lot of women, right? And I go, yeah, I do notice that a lot. They need somebody to be like this lady who runs the place, the director. They need somebody to be her. They have a female of like the left hand. They need somebody to be the right hand, but in a male figure, right? And then has the experience and has the, just the, I don't know, it's just the experience, I guess, and just whatever. And I said, wow, it's interesting you say that. He's like, so you never know what God is going to do next. And I said, yeah. So me being promoted right away, which was like, I kind of took on this role, and I didn't really ask many questions. I thought I can do it, and then I thought, "Fuck, I should ask some questions." But anyway, so it's because it's different, right? I'm in a house where people swallow things, and I'm like, huh? And so like everything's locked up, and it's completely different, but it's where God wants me. It's like super great experience to have that, right? So so I kind of took a step back and go, man, I've always been like, I'm not even concerned with the money. I just said, hey, whatever. And they said, oh, we're going to pay you more for out the gate. And I go, okay. I just kind of said, I'm going to do whatever. And I'm just going to that's it. I'm just going to, whatever happens, right? Stop worrying about money. I need to help people. I need to flourish at whatever this career that God's got for me now. And it's based on everything that I've done before. You know what I mean? It set me up. I mean, the reason I did so well at Northbound and didn't get really caught up in that stuff, and the reason I was like, the reason I was going to leave there was because of stuff I learned where you guys were at. You know what I mean? I wasn't okay with that. I was like, no, I'm not okay with that. And that's why they had some people leave. That's why Dane left and all that stuff. And I saw that and I was like, man, but it prepared me, for those challenges there. And like I said, if I wouldn't have moved out here, I'd have been with y'all for sure. 100%.
Well, and that is where so many times people miss, and it's one of our 3 decrees, which is living in truth. If I live in truth, as painful as it is, I don't have to worry about any of that stuff. And by doing the reps, so one thing you talked about, going back to the actions and the reps, is I remember for the years and years you were here, you did the reps daily to build the competence. And once you got the competence, then the confidence was found. And then that is how you built straight up. And to see how you were able to go in and lead a group with not just the chops, but the confidence where you're able to connect, that's the part that was, I know, an honor to see on our part of when you first came in. And I remember, I don't know if you remember this, you showed me the picture of, I think it was your day 1 or 2. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
That picture of you.
Yeah, of my old person.
Of when you were active, probably it looked at your bottom. Maybe it wasn't, but it's a picture. And I remember you showing that to me and going, Mark, this is how I was before I started living a life like worthy of a calling and wanting and being open to being led and guided to actually help other people.
No, it was straight. It was crazy. I don't even know. I was so lost. I remember. I do pick stitches every year, right? I look in my eyes and I go, man, that is somebody who. And I remember the feeling. Hey, I mean, I every time my wife hates that picture. She's like, she hates it because it's so painful, and she goes, "Oh my gosh, holy shit!" I said, "I do. You don't even know. Wild." So to be able to like tap back into that. Right, and it also is helping somebody else. I showed somebody at my work. They're like, "Who's that?" And I'm like, "That's somebody that was lost." You know what I mean? And so it's really cool because I was able to, over here, like I said, it's different. There is a girl in my house that struggles with addiction, so we talk a lot. And I've been able to like help her, and she's like made it more, like she's made it longer without self-harming herself since I've been there. And I don't want to say it's me. It's not. I just suggested some things for her to do because I understand her brain.
That's what this whole thing is about. Is I got to do the work to be a messenger so I can continue to share what has been shared with me to help as many people as I come in contact with. That's the beauty of this whole cycle of making a decision to say, I want to give more in this life than I've taken in the previous part of it.
So it's a wild ride. It's so crazy. I can't even believe like everything that's happened. You know what I mean? So I told my stepbrother today, I said it's the most hardest rewarding thing you'll ever do in your life. And the reason it's so hard is because you have to change everything that you've been doing for so long. Like everything that you've been thinking, everything you've been, how you've reacted, the way you viewed the world and looked at people, the way you just kind of, did whatever, right? I mean, it's a complete life change. So, but it's like, I wouldn't trade it for, I mean, you could have a gazillion dollars and I wouldn't trade it for that because of everything that is involved in it. You know what I mean? You get family back, you get to like experience things. I would have never experienced any of this stuff. I'd have been like Dustin, man. I'd have been like Dustin. Somebody they would have buried me. I'd have been like the countless others that we've lost, right? And I probably wouldn't have wanted to die because I didn't want to die, but I would have probably died because I came across, a chemical that probably would have killed me, and that's part of the thing, So, but it's very fortunate that not many people make it out, and then actually get to do stuff, There's not too many. It's not a lot. I mean, that keep that momentum rolling. So I just want to make sure that every day I just remember where I come from, keep that routine intact, and then whatever I got to do, just be flexible to like with me. If I need to, like, if for some reason I wake up a little later, I just improvise, and then of course just allowing myself to stay put, get a job, stay put, not worry about anything, and just see where God's got. You know what I mean? So I said, I'm going to give myself the next year. We got a year here in this townhome, and then in the meantime, we'll figure out a home, like a place to live home-wise. If that doesn't pan out, we'll move closer to work and get an apartment, or not an apartment, but a townhome until then. But we got these plans that we have set up. So my wife's starting to do, I don't know if you can see over here, she's got a bunch of plants over here. So she's a plant person now. We got a little doggy, little chihuahua. She's great.
Look at you, all domesticated. So speaking of which, man, how are you digging the marriage life? Because I know we also did a lot of work on that stuff too, and to see you get married and just go all in on your marriage, man, how is it?
I have to remember who I am, and like and compromise and stuff like that, and then remember to talk to. It's I think it's a daily thing, you know what I mean? Just learning stuff, about her and about myself, and just being like, just communicating, right? And then just making sure that like, not letting her stuff leak out on me, like, you know what I mean? And then me not doing the same thing to her. Because like, it's real easy to take something personal and be like, you know what? And then just snap and respond. So instead of that, I'm learning how to just kind of not say anything, you know what I mean? And be like, process, talk to people. Okay, maybe something's going on. Asking questions, right? Figuring out, hey, why'd you say, just basically saying like, hey, I didn't appreciate when you said that to me. What's going on? And then that kind of puts her not on a defense where I'm like, F you, why'd you say that or whatever, or, I mean, like, you're like, oh, hey, so what's going on? And then it's usually something like at work or it's some sort of a woman thing, right? That she does. So I'm like, so I just learn. It's a learning process.
Well, I can tell you, I've only been doing it for 15 years in marriage, and I'm still learning stuff. It's a beautiful journey, and
yeah.
I remember one of the guys I spoke with, I think he was at 60 years married. I'm like, man, and they were super in love with each other. I'm like, how do you do it? And he goes, I never stopped courting her. I'm like, oh, that's so beautiful. I'm stealing that, by the way. Which reminds me, man, hey, if you're interested, I'm still running guys through the Love Challenge and doing a month at a time, running guys through, just helping put their marriage on fire. So if you're ever interested, man, hit me up. Totally side thing, but it's so cool to hear.
No, I'm absolutely down for whatever, to help out. You know what I mean? For sure. No, I appreciate it, man. It's Destiny. I'd asked her, what, you want to do this? She's not one for talking, but I am. I'm like, hey, so because I'm like, I'm all for that, and if I ever I don't know what God's going to do, but I literally, when we come down, so I'll just let you know right now, we're coming down in October, so we'll make sure we come through, see you guys,
yes,
and stuff like that, because Chris, remember Chris Owen?
Yeah.
He's getting married in October.
Okay.
So,
I got to meet his fiance at your wedding.
Oh, so they're getting married. It's so crazy because it was 3 Octobers in a row. Dane, then me, then him, and super awesome. We're gonna get to do that, and so we'll make sure we come by there. But I don't
please
know
do. Let me know so I can have my wife here too, because I will never forget after she hugged Destiny, because I think that was the first time they met. She's like, I've never met anyone with such soft skin. I gotta ask her what she does. It was the cutest thing.
Dude, that's so awesome. I know, dude. Women are fun. They're a trip. She's a trip. Well, but it's interesting. Yeah. So
I was gonna say I'll say this because you said I never know what God has in store for me in His plans, and there's one thing that popped up right when you said that, which is, and you're a living testimony of this as well, is if God can't trust us with the small stuff, He can't trust us with the big stuff. So when we start small, and this is the part that I missed for so long, is if I just say yes to the small things, the trust builds, and all of a sudden it's like now we get asked to do huge things. And I'm like, if I did not have the reps saying yes to the small stuff that made no sense, I would not be able to do this. So it's been awesome seeing your small get huge.
Yeah,
it's been so
wild.
Cool.
I trip out. I go, yeah, you're right. And then I think just getting, so when especially when I came to you guys, I think it's just me being humble and being like, okay, just get my foot in the door, see what's going on, boom, 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 whatever. I got this energy. I just have had this energy for a while. It's just I had it misdirected, and then see what happens. And then literally just God kind of, He elevated. He took off. You know what I mean? And I would love to say I did all the right things perfect. It's not how it goes. Did I learn a lot? Hell yeah, I learned a lot. You know what I learned? Is I learned how to talk. So where I'm at right now, I've been hit and pushed and all kinds of stuff by clients, and I've learned that because they suffer from something that that I don't know if it's not substance use, but they suffer from actual mental illness. Mm-hmm. So preparing for that, I would have never been prepared for that if I wouldn't have gone through everything that I've gone through. I'd have never been able to. I would have I probably wouldn't have a job, honestly. So because I would have said something or done something. But now I'm able to not react, and just kind of step back. And now I know this, and I know kind of what to look for when somebody is doing something. But that prepared me. You know what I mean? And so I would have never been prepared. I would have been I don't know what would have happened, but. That's the beauty thing. That's the beautiful thing about this, So
you keep doing the daily work, and I know you got a ton going on. I told you I would keep this right around 30 minutes. I am so glad you came on. What would you say to someone
no
if they're struggling and somehow are hearing this and not sure what's on the other side, or if it's worth all the work because they hear how difficult it is? What would you tell that person?
Well, I would tell that person, you need to. I would suggest giving yourself that opportunity for 1 year to do recovery and see what's up. Give yourself that chance. Love yourself enough to just say, you know what, for the next year, I'm going to do the steps. I'm going to talk to a sponsor. I'm going to get into service. I'm going to get a commitment at a meeting. These are things that people are successful. They do that, you know. I'm going to get a routine. What does that mean? Well, I'm going to pray in the morning. I'm going to have readings that I do. I'm going to do a gratitude list. Maybe I do a recovery reading. Those are really good. Start the day, mindset right. Positive affirmations. If I say it enough, will I believe it? Well, absolutely. It's a proven fact, right? So we do this, and then when we leave our house for the day, we're prepared. If we're not prepared, we're gonna be all over the place. But it doesn't mean that things aren't gonna come our way. So there's gonna be challenges. There's gonna be things that come your way, things that are unexpected. Be ready for those. Be prepared for those. Have a support system around it. So I'd share, have a support system. If you got people in your phone that shouldn't be there, get rid of them. Right? If you have temptations that you can get rid of and you're not getting rid of them, what's really going on, right? You got to ask yourself these questions, right? Get rid of the temptations, right? So have a support system, get rid of the temptations, and just give yourself that year. You know what I mean? You deserve it. Like every person on this earth deserves that. You know what I mean? It's just if we choose to do that, right? So, and how do we feel about ourselves? How do we love ourselves? You know, I was talking to 2 females yesterday that came. They were investigating one of our houses for some odd reason. I don't know, for whatever reason. Someone made a call. It's all weird. They have to come investigate. I was like, hey, so I run this house. And I said, did you see what's on the girls' doors? They're like, yeah, they're positive affirmations. I said, yeah. I said, we started to do that. He goes, you do that? I go, yeah. The lady's like, I should do that. And I go, why don't you do that? I was like crazy. So the owner was like, from Scotland, right? She got this accent. It's great. So I'm like, connect with them and just share with them and just implement kind of what you can do this with anyone. You know, you don't have to struggle with a drug addiction. So that kind of stuff. Like, so just, I think that if, you know, that's what I would tell a person. I'd say, you know, give yourself that year to do this thing and go all out. Just like we went out all on drugs, you know, go all out on recovery. I mean, what do you got to lose? You don't have anything to lose, right? And you have everything to gain, right? That's what I would share, and then see what's up after that year. My sponsor said, hey, after the year, if you want to get high, man, I'm gonna tell you what. After 6 months, I knew I didn't want to get high anymore. After the first, like after that experience, right? Mm-hmm. But after actually working the program and doing the program, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'd be an absolute fool. And I had like one of those moments in treatment where there's a fork of the road moment. I got caught for something I did. I made it in my head like not a big deal. It is what it is. I stole some like protein powder. Anyhow, got caught with it. Got caught for it. Or at least I think maybe I pulled on myself. I don't know. Something happened, but I was going to leave. And you know who and I was pissed at them. I'm pissed at them because I told on myself. I'm like, what the fuck? So I remember teleporting myself. I was sitting there and I was like, I already got wrote up. I was like, shit. And I'm probably going to maybe get restarted because I'd been there like almost a month. I was about to get my privileges, like use the phone and leave. And I go, you know what? I teleported myself over to work because I knew where I was going to go. I had money and all that. They wouldn't give me my money too. I was pissed. But I teleported myself over to that and felt those feelings, and they were horrible. And so I kind of went out of body, came back, and was like, and they're like, are you going to go to the group? And I go, yep. So I went to the group, pissed still, right? About an hour, and I'm 30 minutes in, and I'm kind of just thinking about everything in life and my whole everything. And 30 minutes, my friend's like, are you going to go? And I'm like, hell no. I said, I'm staying. He goes, you are? And I go, yep. And that was the best decision I ever made in my life. I remember sitting there thinking, this is probably going to be one of those decisions that I'm probably going to remember for the rest of my life. And it absolutely what it is, because I decided, I think that was the first decision I made that I actually grew up.
Wow.
You know, that I actually started to be a man. Yep. Because I was always super selfish and, oh, it's me and me. I did it to myself. And then when I got on the phone to talk to my fiance, when I told her I had to do some, I couldn't see her for whatever, I got in trouble. She goes, you're always getting in trouble. And I go, well, at least this time I owned up to it. At least this time I said, hey, I did this. And then then when I went back to him, I go, "Hey, did you actually find something, or did someone tell him?" He goes, "No, you told him yourself." I'm like, "What?" I said, "I thought I did," and then I'm like, and he goes, kind of threw it out there and see who responded. And I go, "Well, it's kind of one of those moments that I needed," and I think that's what it was like. There's a movie, Flight, by Denzel Washington, and at the end of the movie, he could have got away with drinking. He says, "I couldn't tell another lie." And I understood what that meant. I was like, oh my gosh, that's when the lying, I had to stop. You know what I mean? I had to be like, and I would love to say I didn't lie after that. No, I mean, but I was more aware and cognizant of like, oh wow, I just lied. Or, whoa, what am I about to lie about? That's stupid. Or why would I lie about that? But I was so used to that type of mindset and being in trouble my whole life that I kind of just would go there. But that was a defining moment, Mark, when I was just like, literally, I mean, I wouldn't be alive. If I left that facility, I would have been dead for sure. And I don't know if it would have been that day, but that would have been really bad. So,
well, and that's when it changes, when we stop lying and we start living in truth.
Absolutely. Yeah, man, I appreciate you so much. I hope this helps somebody, you know what I mean? And for sure. And then I would love to do that marriage thing. So let's connect and figure out what I'll have to, my days of work are not the same. So it's kind of weird here. It's like, oh, I work this day and I work that day and I'm off these days and then I'm here in this day. So it's not a set schedule, which my brain is like.
I'm running a group through for the month of April, and I'll shoot you one for the month of May.
Absolutely.
It's so good hearing from you, and I love the Zoom thing because I can see you and it's not just over the phone. So, man, thank you for sharing your story, your hope. It's been awesome, and I've loved working with you. And gosh, for what was it, 5 years, 6 years, however long it was awesome. So
it was a long time. It was so awesome. Yeah. So, and I owe it all to you guys. I mean, things that I've done and things that are happening, and I think about those things still today. It's like, and that's awesome. That's what it's about.
That's what it's about sharing.
Absolutely.
Man. So
Thank you for listening. We're so glad you're here, and we hope that you found this episode helpful. We're going to ask that you leave us a review if you found this helpful, because what it does is it helps other people find this valuable resource to hear these inspirational stories in order to grow. Now, once you leave the review, I'm going to ask that you take a screenshot and then send me the email. And you can send it to Mark, M-A-R-K, at PacificShoresRecovery.com. And what I'm going to do is every single month, we're going to pick one winner, and we are going to offer a free one-on-one breakthrough session, either virtually in here, or if you're in person, would love to meet you with me. That will help see where you're stuck, where you want to go, and to help create this bridge to help get you there. So thank you again for listening. Want to make sure that this continues to be highly valuable time. Please leave us a review, and love to see you in our raffle for the 101 breakthrough session.